I'm not your chief. But I hope.
Outlander's cast sure knows how to have a good laugh from time to time while acting. The show's funny moments are so good, we can't help but mention a few of them in this video. Season 1 bloopers. In the first season, we can't help but cringe and chuckle a bit when Balfe and Heughan kiss. Now, this kiss was supposed to give us those emotional feelings, but it rather disturbed us a bit when we saw a trail of spit become visible in the scene of Claire and Jamie's wedding kiss. For all those that know Heughan too well, he also ruins a very serious moment during shooting when he trips and looks at the showrunners awkwardly in the scene where Jamie's supposed to walk away from Claire. Well, we can't really blame him. The terrain there was filled with rocks. Another unforgettable Season 1 blooper is when Heughan seemed unimpressed with the way Balfe's fingers tasted. That sure was one very weird scene, but if you're an Outlander fan, it will definitely make you smirk at least a little bit. Oh, and do you remember when Menzies had a scene where he needed to pretend to hit his head, and after doing so, he says, "I literally banged my head." The moment was too funny, and even Balfe gave out a small laugh. And to imagine that this was during a scene where Frank and Claire were doing the deed. Season 1 of every show is supposed to be all about the cast and crew getting to know each other, and in most shows, things get a bit awkward at first, but this was not the case for the Outlander cast. Most of them fall, bang their head, and even stumble at the beginning of the show, especially Balfe. Season 2. This next season's bloopers and funny moments begin with the cast members dancing in a very goofy way while Balfe was calling Heughan a ridiculous human being. We then head over back when Mark Durrett forgets his lines in the scene where he was trying to seduce Claire. At this moment, Claire gets even more shameless and barely holds her laugh. And then there is Roman Barreau, attempting to hop on a donkey to shoot a scene, but instead of succeeding, he falls off miserably. This is no doubt a fan favorite blooper. On the other hand, there's also a part where Heughan yells, "No potatoes today," and up until today, no one really knows why he did that. Now, we are used to the Comte de Saint and Jamie being enemies throughout the whole series, but in this blooper, the actors that play the characters were in for a friendly kiss. That's as sweet as it is a bit weird to gulp down. "No potatoes today" is not the only weird thing that has been shouted out for no apparent reason during the second season of Outlander. We can't forget when Balfe shouted, "I don't know," on set. You can clearly imagine that the showrunners or someone from the crew were talking to her, but when confronted, none of them claimed to have spoken to Balfe at that moment. Maybe she saw a ghost. Who knows? What's even funnier is when Heughan and Balfe unexpectedly get really crazy and make animal noises while they were both shooting a scene together at the Gardens of Versailles. I hope you're not eating while watching this video, because this next moment is totally disgusting. While shooting a scene in the series, Graham McTavish's horse got all the attention for himself when it decided to make some good in nature. Okay, for this next one, we cannot blame Balfe when she had to say, "By any chance, is this a bite from a monkey?" and "Oh, I know what 69 is." The actress just couldn't do this while keeping a straight face, and even had moments where she bursts out into laughter. These scenes definitely took more than one take. Season 3. The more the seasons progress, the funnier the bloopers get. In Season 3, we continue getting silly dance moves, weird shouts from the actors, and a lot of laughs. However, in this season, Jamie and Claire don't stay together to form that hilarious Balfe and Heughan duo we all love to watch. But not to worry, because Jamie and Claire's separation didn't make this season any less funny. For instance, we just can't forget the moment when both the mothers of Claire and Bree give their goodbye hugs to their daughters, but the shot lasts just a bit too long, and Balfe can't help but laugh it out with Sophie Skelton. Meanwhile, Menzies seems as happy as ever after being punched by Heughan while they were shooting a battle scene. That moment was just hilarious. Heughan, on the other hand, completely ruins the moment when Jamie's supposed to get in the mood with Mary McNabb, when his brain freezes and he just forgets what he should say during the scene. Who can forget Jamie's surprised facial expression when she randomly pops up and says, "Claire!" This instantly makes Heughan and Balfe burst out in laughter. Heughan goes at it again in another blooper where he had a moment with Lyle. "You're doing a great job here, carrying a bucket," and "I've got a bat, I'll hit you with it." Season 4. Balfe shows a really impressive facial expression when she pops up in time with with the clapperboard. We have to admit, this part was caught in perfect timing. The bonding between father and daughter didn't go so well after Heughan walks towards Skelton while they were bee hunting and says, "Oh darn it, here we go. I'm knackered. The bees! The birds and the bees! You'll know about that because you were up all night with that Roger." It's clear that he had completely lost it at that point. Another epic scene is when Duncan LaCroix introduced his "boogie woogie bugle boy" phrase to Claire when they were at a reunion. This wasn't the funniest of bloopers, but it was definitely one of the best Duncan LaCroix has had on the show. Last but not least, for this season, we have the famous Outlander couple after Heughan rolls his R's a little longer than usual for Roger. Their laugh was so contagious it literally sparked up the whole place while shooting. But it's not only the actors who sometimes miss their lines and act goofy on the show. There are also the animals that sometimes do the funniest things. Sam Heughan talked a bit about the sneaky things that the animals would do. Heughan mentioned Rollo, as he ended up being the biggest goofball of all. It's just obvious that the animals on set were going to be even worse than humans when acting, but obviously they can't. But we can't deny that they weren't adorable either. Just about anyone that has a pet at their home will understand what the actors and crew had to deal with. Animals are stubborn. Rollo was the funniest of them all, especially that moment young Ian leaves Frasier and tells Rollo to follow him is so adorable. As Balfe tries to act her role, Rollo just heads off in a different direction, and this happened countless times. Season 5. There are plenty of behind the scenes for Season 5 as well, with young actors behind baby Jemmy causing more trouble than the animals of the show did. This first funny moment is kind of a slow burn for what is considered a blooper, but when Richard Rankin and LaCroix talked about the loss that the regulators experienced, they just lost it and started giggling out of nowhere. It sure is funny, but we'll never know what was going through their minds at that point. But the bloopers get better, almost too good to be true when actor Colin McFarlane did something truly impressive and decided to stay in character as a mad Ulysses when his first take didn't go as well as expected. He angrily said in the character's voice, "I'll do that again because the door banged right across the line." Now, this one is a little short, but you can imagine that Rankin once talked to a pesky bug on set and told him to go away. Maybe acting for too long gets the best of actors from time to time. An unedited clip of Balfe explaining why she didn't want to keep the Beardsley baby is totally hilarious. She jokingly said that she seemed to have acquired a baby and doesn't even have any milk in her breasts. Heughan and Balfe made each other laugh uncontrollably in the scene when Claire is supposed to give Roger an eye examination and concludes that he really is just that bad of a shot. Rankin then opens up about his opinions on the costume details of Stephen Bonnet. But most of the bloopers that are shot are mostly X-rated, meaning that they can only be available to view on a Blu-ray collector's edition. When Duncan LaCroix spoke with TV Line about his bloopers and funny moments in Season 5 of the show, he said that most of them can't be released on social media just because they have too many curse words. LaCroix also said, "The amount of filth that comes out of my mouth sometimes. The actual genuine mistakes I've made are quite funny. But yeah, it's probably the other guys, the ones that are filmable." Which one of these bloopers made you laugh the most? Let us know in the comments and check out our next video.